call it. Meeting of the Commission on Salaries and Emoluments to order. It's February 27th, 2013. Could you call the roll, please?
And Miss Mary Ann Burke.
Here.
Miss Patricia Redmond.
Here.
Mr. Steve Rieger.
Here.
And staff present is Barbara Jones, municipal clerk.
And Emily Lewis, minutes clerk.
Okay, that brings us.
Oh, and we had election of chairperson, so that was just an error left over from our last time. Well, actually, you can decide that if you want to have an election for a chairperson or not. Typically, at the beginning of every year, we do that, but you guys only have to meet. Well, you don't even have to meet once a year, I think.
I think there's something in the
It's,
charter that says that we're supposed to.
I don't,
I thought.
You met in
there's-
2008.
The ordinance says something, one thing, but the charter says something else, and I thought we were supposed to meet at least once a year.
Oh, good. I
But-
think you should meet at least
And-
once.
and-
Otherwise, we're gonna.
Well, actually, it says can mean no more than, and there's something that says no more
Oh.
than, but you can't do that if you are, when you go to develop, if you're gonna make any changes, you've gotta do some looking at things and discussion, and you have to have more than one meeting to do that, and you have to have a public meeting. So there's somewhere, there's this one line that says one thing and one line that says something else.
Yeah. I have this. This says, it's 5.08. Is that a reg? Or is it-
5.08 is the charter.
Oh, okay, that's charter. It says the commission shall meet at least every 2 years, but not more frequently than every year.
Oh,
No, it says not meet. It says at least every 2 years you will review the compensation of elected officials. It's different than whether you have a meeting,
Oh,
but what you do at the meeting.
right.
And one of the ways that that you could do is if you're in a meeting and you're making a decision on compensation, you could probably continue the meeting to the next day or the next week or something like that, and then you're not.
And
If
well,
that's
but
exactly
even,
what that
but,
says.
but even if it's, I think it did, because I know that not only we, but others previous before us met more than once a year.
Okay.
And they had to, especially when there was one time when they were meeting fairly regularly, because they were doing research on,
Mhm.
and we did too when we made the changes that we made a few years ago to set this up into the next, because these resolutions extend for a couple of years.
Right, and I think when I started in 2012, I had a mild panic attack, and I knew that I had to get this meeting set up by May of 2013, or it would have been a violation of that provision of the charter. So you
2
hadn't
years,
met for
okay.
2 years.
Oh, wow, okay. So we're really on top of it now.
Well, you asked us
Yeah.
to set up a meeting
Yeah,
for you
okay.
for
For a year later?
January.
Okay.
You said January of 2014.
Good, okay. So I don't have a strong feeling do people want to take up an election of chairperson or leave it for next time?
I'm perfectly happy.
At this time, I don't think we should change the chairperson.
So we'll just skip that then. Okay. So the next item on the agenda is minutes of previous meeting, May 8th. So we need a motion to approve the minutes.
Did we get an answer to the question number 4? I'm sorry, number 4 on the second page.
We probably did not, and I admit I didn't look into that. So if you would like me to look into that, I will.
Mr.
If we don't, who does?
Well, actually, The AWW commission, as it was, we did something when they were first formed, but now it's changed. So it's a different thing. It's not something that we would have, because they don't get the same compensation anymore, do they?
That's probably why you asked the question. So we can pull the legislation changing AWWU and ML&P from what I believe were authorities. They were.
See, ML&P wasn't an authority.
Not an authority, but anyway, we'll just pull that change, that legislation. I know where it is. And then you can take a look at it and see if the change would suggest that you would have authority over the salaries of the new group.
Because we did it, when they were differently, we did it. So we set up like AG, what was that one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay, now,
So we have the open question on both of those, is that correct? On the AWW?
well, because in 2008, we did have over ML&P. And in 2008, we did water and wastewater,
But what's missing on the question for ML&P, it's the ML&P board, is that
Yeah.
correct? And so the concern is that those boards may not exist as they existed in 2008. So we're gonna.
right. that's
They
the-
were independent boards, and then they became part of the municipality. So it could be that they're more like a board and commission like this, and they're just appointed by the mayor and confirmed by the assembly so that there's no salary for them to set. But I will pull that documentation and we can take a look at it. And in fact, if we get to a spot further along in the agenda where you're discussing or debating something else, I can run and get it. I know exactly where it is. Okay?
Good.
Okay, now we need a motion to approve the minutes at the last meeting.
Yeah.
Or the May 13th meeting. I move that we, this is Pat Redmond, and I move that we approve the minutes as submitted of the May 8th, 2013 meeting.
Second motion?
Okay, is there any amendments to the minutes that anyone wants to offer? All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Okay, so the minutes are approved. Next is old business. Is there any old business?
We just discussed it.
Just discussed it. Yeah, we got out of order already. Okay, new business.
This is Pat again. I'm wondering, I'm looking at the resolutions that we passed in 2008 regarding compensation for the mayor, the assembly, and the school board. And those go through, it appears to be like 2011 is the date in the mayor's one, and the school board and assembly, there's some dates
Yeah.
up through 2012.
Right.
2012. I'm wondering if we need to take a look at them again and have new resolutions just going forward. Do we need to look at the compensation again? It's been a while since we did. I'm just asking
Right.
that question.
Oh, no, I think it's
I'm
It's a fair
assuming,
question.
my question, I guess, would be, is the current mayor's compensation still at the amount for 2011, or did he get an increase?
I would suggest that I get a call at least once a year from OMB and from Employee Relations, and they are looking for these documents.
Uh-huh.
And these are the documents these are the amounts that are input. And I think that you are correct that they have not gotten an increase that I know of.
But we should look at that, because they may have misinterpreted that as a 4% increase.
Go on, interpretive.
Yep.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's on the mayor's one. I don't know if that was our intent.
I can tell you on the assembly that is not the case.
Okay. So they're at whatever dates we have in here is where they're at, you think?
I can actually even pull the assembly's numbers.
School board's
Don't
director.
you have a lot of historical knowledge? Has this always been just a formula?
No, Steve was here when we did this too.
Oh.
No, we did a lot of discussing to get to that, whatever we've done there.
Oh, I'm sure you did, but I mean, historically, we set it up for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I guess. When we came on.
You know, that was the
Sort of
first
an
time
automatic.
I came on, that was the first time we set this, was
Yeah.
at that time, so. And I can't recall why, I mean.
It had been
it-
a long time, it had been a while since they'd had an increase. I know
I think,
that.
yeah, I think we wanted to raise it the full amount, we just didn't want to do it all in 1 year, is kind of the impression I have of what our reasoning was, so.
Yeah.
We staged it over 3 years.
Because I couldn't see the rationale for setting it up as an automatic.
Well,
Right.
Why do we even meet?
Yeah. No.
Right, I know.
But there
So-
is, yeah, no, I'm assuming it's not. So the question is now, do we want to look at increasing any of these?
And I think that's why you asked to meet in January, because you wanted to review it. If you did want to make any changes, you wanted to do it before the election in April, because then you'd have the number for the newly elected people.
Right, and that would make sense, so.
That's right. Because there's some clauses in here about that.
So I think that if you were elected last year, your salary stays the same, but if you get elected in April, then you'd get the increase, or something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, you know, the way I read the resolution and the minutes where we clarified that was our intent, if you look at 2008 one, I'm going back to Pat's original question. Section 3 says that it'll remain in effect till changed. So I'd be kind of, I mean, it is worth checking, but I'd be surprised if the number for 2011 ever changed subsequently.
So it
And then,
should-
and then in our minutes, we were very clear that that was the intent, was for that final number to continue until.
That, the 100.
You know, yeah.
2011 figure would be
Yeah.
the figure for a while.
What has happened in practice?
Did you know that actually the executive salary schedule was just published, and it's just part of the
Right.
the meeting on the last meeting. So when you're ready to start, I can go pull that too, or I can go right now and pull the executive salary schedule, which will have the mayor's salary on it.
I think that'd be great, just to have that
Okay.
information, so.
If we're talking about the
Yeah.
same.
Sure, so we can
Yep.
take an at ease so you don't use up all your tape there.
Okay.
We'll recess for a moment. Back to order, and we've received copies of several documents that will help answer our questions, so go ahead.
So, the documents that you've got, I got, AO 2011-24.S, which is the change to AWWU, and it does appear to involve ML&P. It's only the 10 pages of the ordinance. I did not attach the total 31 cut pages that repealed the old ordinance. And then the other one, concerns the reorg as well. That's 2011-25. So I think we can take a look at that and figure out what the new organization of those two boards are. And then the third document is the annual executive salary report from the mayor. It was just given to the assembly on Tuesday. I did notice the mayor is on it, but the assembly is not, which I think is interesting. So I just double checked with someone, and someone agrees with me. The assembly's base salary is around this 29,000.
Got it.
They do get benefits, of course, on top of that, because they are considered full-time employees, but the base is about that, is
Right.
the amount that's in the resolution.
And I think the benefit, the benefit package is talked about in the resolution that we did. At least I know it was for the school board.
You're correct. That's section 7.
Right, oh yeah, there it is. Yeah. Because that was really part of the main discussion that we were working on this at that time. That was a while ago. Yep, he's still getting okay, this figure is the same as this, actually it's a 64, how did they get 64? It should be 62.
Yeah.
He's getting $2 more than what you allowed.
Well,
No.
the one thing that I'll tell you, if I had a calculator, I could tell you why
Oh,
that is.
there's a, yeah, there it is over here still.
Is it 62 or 60?
No, it's
64.
It's 129.64. That's a 0.64.
So what happens with our payroll system, it really likes even numbers because it calculates our pay down to an hourly amount. And if you use some, even though the salary is an annualized amount, if you divide it by 2,080 and it ends up with a repeating number, it doesn't work in our system. So they probably just changed it to a number
Yeah.
that worked.
But that's, I'm not gonna check.
Okay. I'm trying to read this in a hurry. I don't, it's pretty silent on compensation as far as I can see.
I'm looking to see if there's anything that's. In the repeal part, but that says anything about it.
It seems to me even if we find something, we probably need an opinion from someone official that's saying we should or should not take action on the compensation of these people. So I don't think we really should do anything today until we know what we're supposed to do.
I agree, and even, I think we should settle the question one way or another.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
Just because the resolutions are out there, we may need a new resolution to say they do not receive or they do receive, or.
Right.
I don't think they do, but that's.
knowing, not knowing.
So would
there's
you
two
like
questions.
me to invite someone to come to a subsequent meeting that could discuss this with you? I could, most likely it would be somebody from, employee relations or payroll, that I could ask that question. I could pose the question on your behalf and ask for an answer.
I think that would be, we might not need a meeting for it.
Okay.
I think what, the question, as I see it, is, are there people there now who are receiving compensation? And if so, are we supposed to be doing anything regarding the compensation?
Okay, so did you know I left my pen where thank you, Emily,
No, not people, I
While I was
mean,
making
board
copies.
members.
Okay.
The board.
Right.
You wouldn't need a legal opinion?
Well, not initially.
someone already made a legal decision.
But it
When-
wasn't incorporated in.
Right, so what I'm saying is that at the time this was reorganized, someone made a decision about how they were gonna be paid. Either they assumed they were being paid consistent with your prior resolution,
Mhm.
or they assumed that they were board and commission members and would not be paid or compensated. And so I think someone made that decision, we just don't know what it is. Is that,
Mhm.
I think-
Yeah, but I
or
think
they're
I'm-
stumbling
Well,
over.
if I could paraphrase
Yes.
what Mary Ann's question is, I think whatever opinion we get, we want to be able to rely on it.
Okay.
So I don't know if it has to be a legal opinion or not, but whatever the administration
Well,
responds to us, it has to be something we can safely
I
rely
agree.
on.
And I
Yeah.
don't mean by legal opinion that it means
Yeah.
a formal legalized
Right.
opinion where we ask them.
Got it.
formally.
Right.
But somebody from legal had to be around at the time, or from any of these others, and let them lead us to where we'll find something that's in writing that we can rely on.
Right. To answer those questions, are we supposed to be doing it? Or actually, it really comes down to one question. Are we supposed to be doing something with
Mhm.
respect to it?
Okay,
And just because I'm a curious type person, if we don't, who does?
And yeah, because if they're just board members now, then we wouldn't have any, and it may be then, because that was something that changed. It's weird.
So does that question make sense to you, or that
yes,
direction?
I'm probably gonna have to wordsmith it a little bit, but I will certainly, I understand what the question
Yeah,
is.
good.
And I will, float it probably a couple of places to find out, and maybe the CFO is the right place to start with that. And then I'll get back to you.
We'll leave it in your hands. Okay. So then the second question is on the assembly and the mayor and the school board. What to do, and there's probably many options, but one is to take no action, another is to request additional information so that we might take action, or even decide right now that we want to take action.
I don't feel comfortable taking action without some more information.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, on the mayor, he's currently receiving the compensation as directed as ending in 2011. The only thing I would think of is to, at this point, and I'm not ready to actually make a motion or anything, but something we might want to think about is to do a resolution continuing that compensation for the next cycle, the 2000, through 2000, we'd set a date and then have it looked at again. Does that make sense? Since this says 2011 and it stays hung there at 2011, this is 2014. I'm not saying he needs a raise, and I'm not thinking that, I'm just thinking that we want to have a date, another date in here, so it doesn't look like we didn't look at it.
Well, he has continued on at the 2011.
Yeah, this is the amount that he's
Mhm.
at. And we don't, and we're saying, it's been indicated that the assembly appears to be at the same rate. I guess we would need to know if the school board is also at the rate that was decided in the last year. The rate increases ended in 2012. So, for the school board, so they should be, and I'm trying to figure out how, because it was really hard if they would all now be at that rate, or if they're new, because it was based on when they were elected. And if that's the case, do we want to continue that particular rate for another cycle of years? So that's what we could think about. So we would need to know if the school board is still on at this cycle too. And I guess that's what we really need to do, because everything is, the dates on these are old enough that somebody else coming in after us can look and say, oh, they haven't had a raise in a long time, but if we document that we've looked at it at now, and we do decide that we want to continue at this particular amount, then we can say that in the resolution. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I'm not, I'm not decided
And
just
maybe-
as ever whether we should change them or leave them the same.
Well,
I
I
do
would
agree
think-
that if we leave them the same, we should
Right.
make some kind of
Yeah, well, that's it.
statement that
And I'm
says
not
that we're
sure
doing
either.
that.
And maybe we want to change them, but at this point, I just think we need to at least get the dates more current than what we have in here.
Take care
Well,
of
we're
it.
pretty current. I mean, our resolution last year,
Right, it is.
well, it wasn't really a resolution, but our minutes, kind of substituted for a resolution. We made it clear that was the intent of taking no action. So I think we kind of covered up to now.
Right.
So it's covered through FY 13-14?
Well, FY13 forward,
13.
we didn't really say an endpoint. We just said that in 2013, by taking no action, we're affirmatively kind of saying we want it to stay the same until we do take action.
And so, and there's no, the muni operates on a calendar year, but your decisions,
Our election year,
correct.
which is that's why it's not complicated, but there was these, when you look at them, some of the,
That
people
is-
not newly elected or officials newly re-elected the same office retain the same salary as currently set. This is what we did. And that salary shall increase at a later point. At the point a member becomes a newly elected official or a newly re-elected official, they would reflect the new scale. So there is a thing in here about, and then it kind of applies to both the school board and the assembly, that coming on could have a higher salary
Right.
in those years.
Yeah.
Now they should all probably be at the same, because they've all been there a while, but.
So would it be helpful if we got an Excel spreadsheet for you we could ask for one from the school district, and we'll get one from our budget analyst, and it'll have the current pay for all of the
Yes.
assembly members and all of the school board members.
Could be.
It would be.
Well, it would just
Or
be
election
current.
year.
No, it'd be their current
Yeah,
rate.
their current rate.
What would be most helpful to me, I'm not saying that's unhelpful,
Okay.
what would be most helpful to me would be some comparables. I remembered that's what we did when we looked at these back in 2008 or
Right,
whatever it
we did.
was. Because any action we're taking is only for newly elected people anyway, and I'd just like to know what other councilmen or assemblymen from similar cities are making, and what other mayors, and then that's, not that we
Well,
would necessarily parallel it, but
but we
it would
would-
give us an idea of where we stand.
Maybe we don't think, maybe at this moment, I don't think any of the assembly should get paid anything, but that's.
Now, don't let your personal.
No,
Right.
right, so
So-
but I think we need to, yeah, I like that idea.
This
too.
is all
It is
just-
time to look at it, because, you know, this was 2008, this is 2014, that's 4 years. Is it only 4 years? Seems like it was
Yeah.
forever. But, and then the things didn't, you know,
And
We're
refresh
a
my-
representative of the AML and also of the Alaska Association of Municipal Clerks. And we have a listserv, the clerks share information all the time. In fact, one of the clerks had just asked me for this information. They were planning on making their utility, and that's how I knew where this information was.
Okay.
So I can get that information for you. It shouldn't be too difficult. I'll probably contact AML and see if they compile it, because
Sure.
they probably should.
And we might want to look, we won't find comparable size cities here, we might have to look at a few outside.
I actually was surprised. I think some of the clerks actually in Alaska, some of them are higher paid than our clerk's office.
Yeah. Okay.
So partially that's because of,
location.
right, probably location. But in any event, is there somewhere else you would like me to go?
I don't know where,
There's
we
a-
had comparables, but I don't know where they
Okay.
dug them up before.
And,
but
and there is
in-
you've got an international municipal clerks
Right?
or organization.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something there, or the national,
Okay.
I don't know. I mean,
Like
I
the
don't know.
National League of Cities or something?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
something like that. That seems like, because we got figures before from some other cities around
Okay.
the country. They were either
Got it.
similar size or similar,
Cost of living.
yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I probably have them in my file that's buried under.
Nope,
the
I
outside.
will go ahead and do some looking for you.
Yes, then, just so I recall this correctly, let's just say that we decide to have a meeting with this information. Then, if we decide to take, that we want to take action, we have to schedule yet another meeting, right, with public notice?
Yes.
So
Public
this, we
meeting.
really,
You have to have public
we're
meeting.
probably looking at 2 more meetings if we were gonna make a change.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
think that's why we recognized you needed to start in January or February, so we're,
Because even if we made a change, it didn't take effect until next April. It needs to.
We still should get
start.
on it, yeah,
So
we might.
we have to start
Yeah.
now.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So-
Okay, so, well, that makes sense to me, if you,
Mhm.
right, so we have 2 categories of information. We're gonna get what our duties are with regard to water and electricity, and then we're
Yes.
gonna get comparables for assembly and mayor.
And school board.
And-
board.
And school,
Yeah.
sorry, and school board,
Okay.
and then meet again.
Okay.
Okay.
Boy,
Works for
now
me.
that is really, I don't know if I can say this on the record, you guys are really efficient.
Have a good day.
Wow.
We've done this before.
That's right. Okay, so is there any other new business? Okay, if not, public comments? Hearing none, member comments? Just a question, what's your guess of how long it would take? Do you want to just call us after you have the information?
You know, I would prefer that you would take a look at your calendars and set a meeting right now. And, you know, from my perspective, I think it's something important that we need to get back to you as soon as possible. We are working on the April 1st, 2014 election. But I think if you could give me, you know, at least a week, and but I'd say no more than 2 weeks. I think we can have something together for you. And I do have other staff to assist me with
Okay.
this.
You know, I remember I sent you an email of what was good, but I know there were always Thursdays, and there were several in April, or sorry, several in March.
Okay, let me go look at that.
Okay.
Because are you going somewhere for spring break?
No.
Oh.
Well, I'm going to Homer for a hockey tournament.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Let me pull up those emails so
Okay.
that we're all on the same page.
That's funny, I got that on my schedule here. That's the first weekend. Is that
No
the state?
matter how
It's
carefully you
state for
Or one of these?
bantams. State for
Yeah,
bantams.
oh.
Yeah.
That's
We
no-
can recess for a minute. Sorry. No, no. Oh, sure. Okay, we're coming back to order. Looking at the calendar again. I'm a little bit flying blind, but I kind of think that the 13th would work for me. 13th of March. That gives you 2 weeks.
Oh, that's great.
We
I'll
could
check.
s-
I'll check my calendar as soon as I get back. But I'll be back in town, and I think that all fits.
Unless we hear otherwise, then it's the 13th.
How's that? It's
Yes.
tentatively the 13th.
We need a date and we need 24 hours to notice that it's off,
Okay.
so we should be good.
Okay, that
All
sounds
right.
good.
Good.
So, is there? Let's see. That was member comments. Any other member comments? Then we're ready for a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
With no objections? Done. Okay.